5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, and welcome to AP Live, and we're sitting here today with Jamie Bower Campbell.
You got it wrong. You messed up. It's Jamie Campbell Bower.
Did I really?
You did. Oh no. Oh no. What are we gonna do?
Oh, thank goodness we're not live. Did I really say that? Jamie Campbell Bower. Tell me about the name. Well, first of all, we're here to talk about Camelot.
We are.
But you're in so many different things. Camelot premieres on Starz this Friday.
It does. Friday at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. And you play somebody we've heard of before.
I'm playing Guinevere. I'm playing Lady Guinevere. I'm playing King
Arthur. I love the makeup in that thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Didn't I look great? It was really believable.
Yeah, and she's actually, you and Gwen, this is nice chemistry going on there. But
thank you.
Anyhow, tell me about your name. I mean, what is there a story in the name?
Well, my real name is James Metcalf Campbell Bower, as it says in my passport. When I applied for equity back in the UK, there was already a Jamie Bower, so I had to throw a middle name in there, and my mother decided that it would be Campbell. It's Scottish dynasty, Scottish. I'm from Scotland, darling. That's where I'm as well. Celtic blood is in me.
Well, I like the dynasty part.
Yeah, well, I'm part of a big clan.
Yeah, well, it almost sounds like royalty.
Exactly.
So I better get the name right or people will come after me.
This is true.
Including Twilight fans, but that's something else we can talk about.
Okay.
You play Arthur. At the point we joined the story, you are just Arthur.
Mm-hmm, correct.
And, well, actually, I mean, this is a story about Camelot, but it's sort of a different type of tale. It's not maybe the one that people know growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will have heard of the story and heard of the myth or the legend and have their own ideas in their mind as to who these particular characters are. But I think the majority of people will already have in their head this vision of Arthur being king and being quite brutish and big, and he's meant to have legendary skills on the battlefield. But we wanted to, discover and think about, where did he come from? He must have been a boy at some point in his life. I mean, he didn't just arrive at being a full-blown man and being a king. So our story, we find Arthur at sort of late teens. He's still very much a boy. He's torn from his home and thrown into this environment whereby he is now the ruling monarch of the land that he lives in. He's had a very sheltered life before this, and he finds it all terribly confusing. And
everybody's so welcoming. Not.
Yeah, exactly. King Lot, played by Purefoy, loves him. James Purefoy can't get enough of Arthur.
He walks basically into a snake's den.
He does.
Or a lion's den or a snake pit, since I'm doing so well with words today.
Snake's den, I like that though.
But, I mean, tell us a little bit. I mean, first of all, he meets Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about who Merlin is. And then we'll talk a little bit more about your Arthur, though.
Okay, so Merlin's played by the ever wonderful Joseph Fiennes. And I think, like I said before, people will have their own visions of what Merlin would be, and I think a lot of people think that he's old. He has a tall, pointy hat. He has a very long white beard, and he has a wand. Where in our version, Merlin doesn't have that at all. He's rough and rugged and ready, and he doesn't necessarily have a specific age. Although because Joseph's playing him, he sort of looks mid-40s. He's tattooed, and he brings this wonderful intensity to the role. The relationship between Arthur and Merlin to begin with is just fraught with tension, and throughout the series and as the series progresses, they form a bond, and they form an understanding, a mutual understanding for each other, and a mutual understanding for each other's intelligence, and that's a real thing. It's a progression of character and a progression of human. It's a very, very human thing. If you're spending time in a close environment with somebody and you dislike them to begin with, you're either going to hate them even more come the end of it, or you're gonna actually end up understanding them and understanding where they come from.
But the representation of you as being this innocent thrust into this snake's den, snake pit,
Mm-hmm.
as next to to Joseph's portrayal. It's much more gritty than, I actually read about Arthur growing up, King Arthur, and it's very gritty. It's a very sexy. I mean, what do you think they're trying to go for in presenting it in this new way? Are they trying to reach out to a new audience? They're just trying to give a different spin, or what?
I think we're giving a different spin on it. I think Starz has established itself as a network that sort of pushes the limits and pushes the boundaries of what is acceptable on television with nudity and with blood and gore. I think that they may have felt that they had to, still with their viewer audience-ship for Spartacus, they sort of had to stick with a specific program with that. But also we have to change it up, and our show isn't Spartacus, and our show isn't that at all, and that's something we never wanted it to be. So with our modern retelling of it, we're going for a new audience, and we're going for people who necessarily don't know the story of King Arthur, and who necessarily haven't read the history. But even if you have read books or read literature on the characters, this guy didn't necessarily exist. There is no proven fact that this guy exists, and we just wanted to see if this did happen, and if this was a reality, how would that have felt emotionally? I mean, and that's what we're going for. And yes, there's sex, and yes, there's sword fighting, but underneath all of that, there is just this reality to the show, and also the love triangle between, and it said Merlin, Arthur, and Guinevere. It's a very strange love story. No, the
what
love
I have is catching.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, I'm John Belushi. I don't know who I am anymore. The love triangle between Guinevere and Arthur and Leontes is something that's magical as well, and everybody knows the story of Arthur and Guinevere. And I think that people are naturally drawn to those kind of stories and that love story.
Well, yeah, and it's, I mean, we also have to talk about your evil sister and half-sister. But, I mean, it does have the major elements of the story, like the sword and the stone, which is a lot of fun to watch, by the way. But you just make it more realistic.
Well, I think what we wanted to do was, rather than, tell people the legend that they already know and, reenact the stories that people already know, that's kind of, I would find that kind of boring to watch, because as Joe Blow watching the television, I already know that. I don't want to see some kid doing that again. I want to see something different. I want to see a new spin on it. And yes, we see the sword and the stone, the sword of Mars, as we call it. Yes, we see Excalibur. Yes, we see the Lady in the Lake. And yes, we see the beginnings of the Round Table. But it's all about how myth is created, how those stories are blown out of proportion sometimes, because it's that age-old tale of the fish was this big, and it just never happened. So that's something that I found quite interesting, which Chris Chibnall brought to the table, our writer and our showrunner. He really, really delved into the idea of, where do we get these tales from, and it must come from a sword of truth.
So tell me about, there's another character we really need to discuss, because she's so deliciously evil, your half-sister.
My half-sister.
The woman who would be queen.
The woman who wished to be queen. Morgan Le Fay, or Morgana, as she's referred to occasionally, but I call her M-Dog. Played by Ava Green. She's Arthur's only real connection to the family that he never had. She is that they are connected by blood, and he kind of loves her in a strange way. He because she's the only connection that he has, he wants that bond to be, and he wants that bond to be strong, and he wants them to be able to work together to create a new realm. She, however, is incredibly angry that he's been put and given the kingship, and she just can't understand it. She can't get her head around it, because she wants to be queen so badly, and she becomes incredibly jealous, and she does awful things. But underneath it all, he wants to trust her, and he wants her to love him,
Actually, I see that, because he's always very open to her. And
And as the series progresses, the things that he says and the things that he does, you'll see more and more that that he just wants that to be, and he just wants a family.
I know. I'm sure it's going to end very well.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, where was this shot? Because it's beautifully shot as well.
We shot in County Wicklow, Dublin, Ireland, and Ireland just offers the most incredible vistas and incredible spaces where we can work, and it's still very unspoilt and very untouched by a lot of things. So, that was wonderful to be able to work there, and we were very lucky in the fact that we got to work with the same crew that had worked on the Tudors. So they'd been working together for countless years now. So it's a very, very tight-knit team. Everybody's very together.
So Jamie Campbell Bower, I'm going to say it right this time. Gosh. But I mean, you are in all these amazingly, from our perspective, suddenly, it's not so suddenly anymore, but suddenly you're like shot on the scene, and you're in The Prisoner, you're in Camelot, you're in Harry Potter's the final two films, and you're also in Twilight. I mean, are these roles just all of a sudden landing in your lap at this point, or do you still have to go?
Oh, I still have to audition. I have to audition for everything. Nobody will give me a job just yet. I've been very fortunate in the fact that everything that I've done has been a learning curve for me, but also great characters, and I think that's something that we're all drawn to in what we in the sort of acting profession is. All we want to do is just tell great stories, and being given those opportunities to work on such films, they are great stories. No matter whether you like them or not, they are really quite wonderful. So, I've just been lucky, I suppose. I haven't gone out and sought these gigs. They've just sort of, someone's been around and gone, yeah, we're casting this. I'm like, sure, go up for it.
Well, I'd say it's a little bit more than luck. I mean, there's something a little...
Right place, right time, right words.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that you are very wonderful in these roles. I enjoyed Camelot, and I was yelling at the Paul from Stars because I wanted my next installment.
Give me the next episode.
Yeah, I want my screener. But I'm curious for you. I mean, how has your life changed? Are you still living over in the UK, or are you?
I still live in London. Yeah. My life is still very much the same.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
My life is still very much the same as it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'll go home and I won't really do anything apart from hang out with my mates, and I'm very fortunate in the fact that my friends are the people that sort of keep me grounded the entire time, and I go home and I'm like, yeah, sure, I was just working with Dakota Fanning and Robert Pattinson. They're like, shut up, I don't care. Let's go to the pub. And I'm like, oh, all right, fine, yeah, good call. So, that's kind of my life, and I still have, relative anonymity in London and most of the world, so I'm able to travel and get on the tube and just do my thing, and I think that's something that I've kind of been blessed with every job that I've done. I've somehow looked slightly different, and this Camelot gig is the first one where I've really sort of looked like myself. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, also, I would think, I mean, with Harry Potter, you look pretty different, but I would think with the final Twilight films coming out, that might change things because your role is expanded, right?
Yeah. I mean, the last two films, the Volturi are involved in a lot more. But we'll see, I mean, we're not Taylor, we're not Rob, we're not Kristen. We're very much on the peripherals of the film. We're not the ones leading the show, so people aren't interested in us, which is sort of nice. We get to go in there, we get to be incredibly camp vampires, we get to kill people, and then we get to go home and do the next gig, and it's not taking over our lives, which is nice.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, no, you're right.
So,
we'll see.
You've wrapped Camelot?
We wrapped on Saturday.
And are you finished with Potter?
I'm done with Potter. Yeah, filming's over. Filming is done for everyone.
And Twilight?
Twilight, I finished in February. Yeah, They're just finishing off the first part, I think, in Vancouver.
So do you kind of miss, I mean, having these 3 big projects? Is it, I mean, are you already on to the next thing, or are you?
I'm taking a break. I haven't holidayed in 3 years. I had a really brief holiday down to Cornwall in England a couple of weeks ago for 5 days, but that was it. I haven't really been abroad or sort of, I've travelled the world, but for work. So right now I'm looking at going to Indonesia and going around Indonesia and going to Bali and then hopefully out to Australia, and then we'll come back and hopefully do the second series of Camelot sometime in the middle of this year.
Yeah, I think I'd be looking forward to that because, well, I haven't, still waiting for my next screener. But, okay, so let's go back to Camelot again. And I guess I give you an opportunity to invite people. Who do you think would like to see Camelot, and why?
I think the show appeals to a very, very wide audience. I don't think we have a sort of key demographic that we're going for. Each character, I mean, we would always joke on set, I would bring the, 12 to 18 category. Peter Mooney, who plays my brother, would bring the sort of middle-aged mothers category because he has this very rugged beard and his wonderfully kind eyes. Joseph Fiennes, will bring sort of a large category of sort of people between 12 and 100, and Ava Green will bring the sort of 25 male fixated character from her roles in The Dreamers. So it really does appeal to everyone because there's that love story, there is sword fighting, yes, there's a little bit of sex, there's beautiful women, there's ugly women, there's beautiful men, there's ugly men, it really doesn't have a specific demographic, but I think underneath it all is a story that people can connect with and a reality to the characters, and that's what we want people to do. We want people to invest in those characters, and I think hopefully they should be able to, and hopefully they should be able to feel the strifes and the woes and the incredible highs and the incredible lows. That rhymes. That was really strange. I might write that down. That each character goes through, and that is that's what we're really striving for. And we're not creating television purely for the sole purpose of creating television. It's not aesthetic. Don't take it for what it is. Look underneath it, scratch the surface, understand the relationship between these characters. So that's what we're going for. Very long-winded answer. Just watch the bloody show.
Yeah. It's the stuff that legends are made of.
Exactly.
Okay, well, stars this Friday, 10 p.m.
That's the one. Stars this Friday, 10 o'clock.
Camelot. I highly recommend it. It's lots of fun. And it's Jamie Campbell Bower. Thank you so much for joining us on AP Live, and we'll look forward to the films coming out and everything. And you got to come back. I will. I'm sure they'll sort of take me out again on a tour. I say take me out like I'm a dog. They'll take me on a walk. Well, you probably have to go around the world for the press coming up, right?
Yes, I'm off to France on Friday for that.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's lovely.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Okay. I am going to